Hello and welcome back to the Eurovoxx Podcast, the place where we will be discussing all things Eurovision. Coming up today, 6 more songs have been revealed over the last couple of weeks, and we will be discussing Finland, Poland, France, Australia, Lithuania and San Marino. Stay tuned to find out which one of those potentially made my voice do this.
Yes!
On one of the live streams this weekend. But first, let's go to our guest this week. They are the designated Polish member of Eurovoxx, and probably, based on their national final taste, would prefer this not to be a podcast and potentially an introvert party. This is Dorota with me. Hello, Dorota. Welcome to the party.
Hello, cześć, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. If you asked me the same question yesterday, it would probably not be as good because it was Monday, a day after the selections.
Yeah, we'll get on all to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, the hangover is over.
Right, but first, let's kick things off with 3 questions. We asked our guests these 3 questions every show. So first of all, Dorota, describe your first Eurovision.
It's kind of interesting because, if you ask me about my first Eurovision, I'm not sure, what year it was. I know I watched some performances and I remember, vividly when Arash performed for Azerbaijan. I was watching his performance on small TV that was in my kitchen because I didn't have my own room yet. So I didn't watch it with my parents on a big screen, but I watched it in my kitchen when there was this small TV that we used sometimes when eating dinner. But yeah, I think it was one of my first performances I watched. But the real first Eurovision, let's say, was 2013. Which is kind of interesting because Poland did not take part at
No,
the
that's
time.
true, actually.
Yeah, and the reason why I watched it was because I was on a school trip in Slovenia, and there was a lot of commercials in a TV, which was Croatian TV. Which is a mix of many countries, many steps, because I am a Polish person who was in Slovenia watching a Croatian TV, and they were promoting their song a lot. It was Miseria, I think, and
yeah, the opera band, yeah.
Yeah, and they were playing the music video a lot in the TV, and I just remember vividly those oranges falling on the stairs and a woman just dragging a chair behind her on the beach. And me and my friend just decided, yeah, it seems interesting, we might watch it. So we watched the first semi-final, and I think the opening was actually Loreen singing Euphoria with the child choir. And it was just it gave me absolute goosebumps when it happened. And yeah, we watched the first semi and we rated it, and we actually didn't watch the second semi and the final because we were going back. And then I found out, I think in the middle of 2014 or something like that, in the beginning of 2014, yeah, Eurovision is gonna happen. And I think it was actually in March because all the songs were out and there were recaps of the songs already. And I did a presentation for my geography class saying
always good to get Eurovision into the school.
Yeah, these are the songs and this is Eurovision, that's how it started and that's what's happening in the Eurovision. And yeah, my teacher gave me A grades for everything and was showing it to other classes. So.
Hang on, to clarify, because I remember what Poland sent that year. Did you have to go to, teacher, let's see what we're sending this year? Oh, okay.
No, not really. The most interesting thing for me was showing Conchita to people in Poland.
Ah, okay. Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
that was quite controversial, but my teacher didn't mind it and didn't mind the performance and how Conchita looked and presented herself. So yeah, it wasn't bad, but everyone was surprised when they saw her. So
well,
yeah.
That's always good that there was nothing too issue based with that. So the second question: what is your favorite Eurovision entry of all time?
So it's kind of a hard choice because there are a lot of songs. But like from the older ones, I would say I think Abani B from Israel. It was a winner in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, I know the
I
song. Yeah.
I'm always bad with like years and dates, so
Yeah,
so
roughly then. Yeah.
but like from the more recent ones, I think it would be Naria Blundar from Perlina Karlsson, Finland, 2012, I think it was, or
Oh, yeah.
2013. It
That one
was
in
this like,
Finnish, yeah?
yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
but yeah, no, it was in
Oh,
Swedish,
Swedish, not
but it was from Finland, yeah.
yeah, not English, basically. Yeah.
Basically not English, but yeah, I fell in love with the song. And like the third, if I can mention one more, is Bosnia and Herzegovina 2010 Thunder and Lightning
Ah,
from
okay.
Vukasin Brajic, which like all of them are quite unpopular. Like no one mentions them, like no one kind of remembers them, but I love
No, they're nice.
those
They're nice
songs.
choices. No one really. They're not really ones that I mentioned much, but they're not bad entries. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Always nice ones. And then the final question. We always ask our previous guest to send in a question for the next one. So this question was sent in by Sarah. Dorota, what is your Eurovision guilty pleasure song? And you can only pick one. 'Cause-
Yeah, like the no, but I have two in my mind.
Oh, do
Like,
two then. Do two.
okay, Slavko Kalesic Space.
Oh no.
I absolutely love that song, and I was
I
at
have
Polish
not seen
Eurovision
no.
party. Yeah, I was at Polish Eurovision party last year, and he performed that. And me and my friends were just like screaming all the lyrics, and he was like looking at us and dancing in front of us because he heard
It
us.
was because you were the only two people singing along to Space.
No, there were a lot of people, but like when we started singing the beginning, he was like, "Oh my god!" and came to us like in front of us, and that's like such a great memory. Like
Oh, that is
that's
lovely.
so fun. And the other one would be "I Want Your Love," Edward Romaniuta from
Moldova
Moldova.
2015. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
with all the
yeah.
police women there. It was like an interesting performance, but yeah, for some reason I really love that song, like both songs.
Yeah.
And the like third one would be "I Didn't Know" by Serhat. But yeah,
Oh.
I'm not going to say any more guilty pleasure
No.
songs.
No more. I tell you what. What's interesting is I started watching Eurovision in 2018. But before then, do you know Slavko from Montenegro was part of the UK X Factor in like 2016,
Yeah,
17? So I knew
I
Slavko from X Factor, and then went back to watch previous years. I was like, oh, of course he took part in Eurovision. Makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
yeah. Yeah, I watched like X Factor in those years. Like I watched 3 seasons, I think, like live when they were playing it. So yeah, we had a kind of a Facebook group in Poland that we were like just commentating the X Factor in the UK.
Yeah,
And yeah,
global stuff. X Factor UK for good and bad reasons.
I mean Sarah was there. So
That's true. That is very true. So let's kick off with the songs from the last couple of weeks. And up first, we have a Nordic country in Finland. UMK finished this Saturday, and they have their entry, and it is Kalia with Cha Cha Cha. So that was Cha Cha Cha. Kalia is from the capital of Finland, Helsinki. And on Saturday, he won UMK by over 400 votes, gaining over 50% of the televote. Safe to say, this is quite a popular choice, Dorota, especially with us two, yeah?
yeah, we both love that song, and I was just joking that it won't be a Eurovoxx podcast this week, but it will be like Karia Fan Club podcast this week.
The Appreciation
because,
Society.
yeah, baby. I mean, the song is so like different. Like it's just outside of the box, because when you start listening, you don't know what to expect. I mean, you know what to expect, but it's not that. It's something different.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
at the like when there was the announcement of the participants, and I saw that there will be this rapper that will like have a song, I was like, nah, I don't think I would like it because I'm not really into rap. But then when this song came out, at first when I listened to it first time, I was like, oh, that's interesting, I think I like it. And then I got addicted, and then it became my most listened song in the last 6 months. So uh, like that.
Honestly, Dorota, everything you've just said there, copy and paste for me, because like I've got a fun story about how I react to national final songs. So basically, I play my own little mini version of The Voice, where I'll turn my chair to the screen, and then if I like the song, I'll turn round. Carrier initially when I heard this song. Because I was like you, I was like a rapper. Okay, maybe not for me. We'll move on to the next one because UMK at that point was already very strong. So I was just like, okay, maybe this will be the weak one, which will be slightly polarizing but won't do much. So then when I listened to it, I had my eyes like googly wide open, and when I turned around for this, not because I liked it, but because I had to see what was going on my screen.
Yeah.
It's that kind of song where it's like it doesn't matter if you love or hate it, you people are talking about it, and yeah, cut back to earlier, that was the song where the horrendous voice break when I cheered happened on the UMK live stream with Yana and Clara. Anyone that listened or watched that will know how much I love this song. It is. I should hate this. By all accounts, I should absolutely hate this. I'm a ballad boy, not really one for polarizing like songs like this, but this is ridiculously catchy. It's so clever as well. Everything from like the song structure itself to the staging, which oh my gosh, we'll get onto the staging in a sec. But like it's so well thought out and like choreographed to a T, and everything has meaning. It's brilliant, genius chaos. So let's go on to this staging because I was watching UMK in a Zoom call with actually a few other Eurovoxers, Yana and Twan, and we were all muted for this because we didn't. Some people were ahead or not, but for what they saw when I was watching this was my face went bright red and I just started bursting out laughing. I was loving it. Yeah, what were your thoughts on this staging? Because oh my gosh.
So actually, I kind of have a confession because I watched. It was like the only video, only performance. I couldn't help myself, but like I had to watch it before like the UMK was live because there were like I think there was
Freezing.
like this dress rehearsal final or something like
Yeah,
that. I have no idea what it was like, but or like a family final, let's say.
yeah.
It's like with Eurovision kind of, but yeah, I watched video from that and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? But when I watched it live during UMK, my reaction was like even like
Even more,
what
even
is
more.
happening?
Yeah,
What is happening? And honestly, I know it's kind of a weird description, but I find those dancers kind of terrifying with the faces they make. And for me, it's like he's the like a like a character in a dancer's zombie apocalypse because they are kind of terrifying. It's like those like let's say dance monsters that are just trying
yeah.
to drag him in different directions and he's like, no, I'm not going, but at the end he just riding them. Just like
I
when
lost it
you
at that
think,
point. I honestly lost it. Like seriously.
I
Honestly,
mean,
like, when they first came on the Cha Cha Dancers, I was like, I didn't know I didn't know this was perfect until they came on. I was like, of course you have Cha Cha ballroom dancers in a song called Cha Cha Cha. Like it makes so much sense, and it's brilliant. It suits the contrast perfectly. And then yeah, with like the cheesy dancing that we'll all be doing in like Euro Club. First of all, he has to be at every Eurovision party. Like, please be at
yeah,
London,
I know.
Barcelona, Madrid, everyone, or at least the ones I'm going to. Please, Carrier. If you are listening to this, you're probably not. But if you are
Come
listening
to
to this,
Warsaw. Please come to
come to
Warsaw.
Warsaw for Dorota, come to London for me, Barcelona, all that stuff. Come to them all, please. We have to have this at like pre-parties and club, everything. But yeah, how white the teeth were of the dancers. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Does it need tweaking for Eurovision? Okay, fine, yes, but every performance needs tweaking for Eurovision.
But I was kind of wondering if they are actually their teeth that are white, because when I was watching the performance, it was kind of fast, and I thought maybe it was like boxing guards for teeth.
Possibly
Like,
either that or like very big like teeth whitener is what I'd say. It's
yeah,
one of the two.
and kind of the teeth guards for boxing would make total sense
Yeah.
with the context that it's a like boxing ring, which would be like kind of blows my mind. And I'm like, I don't know if he will bring that, like all of that, to Eurovision
No, he
stage.
has to. He has to. You have to bring all of that. Don't leave any of that in Helsinki. Bring it all
But
to
I
Liverpool.
think he could actually make it even bigger.
Yeah,
And
sure. Go for
have
it.
have something more. And I'm like, that was incredible. I mean, and you said it's kind of a polarizing song, but actually it isn't. I feel like a lot of people love it. It's like, I
Yeah.
think, second in the scoreboard.
It might be
But
first. I think
it's no, I think Norway is first.
it's
But
switching with
it might
Norway.
be
It's like
changing.
close
Yeah,
between them. Yeah.
but it's like it should be a polarizing song, but for some reason everybody loves it. And I think honestly he may win the televote in Eurovision, because Constracta was close to it, and it was like something that not everyone understand, but I feel like it was more polarizing than Karea is, actually, because when it comes to like fans reaction, that he gets better reactions and everyone is so surprised with it. And it's kind of the same effect with Constracta. Everyone was surprised, like, what is happening? Why is she washing her hands? And here you have what is happening, where there are ballroom
I mean,
dancers, and why is he riding them?
Even with Moldova last year, like they came second with a
Yeah,
much more. Yeah, this is so much better. Look, here's the thing. After every song, I sort of say, okay, Finn. Okay, obviously we've got to ask with like, will this qualify or whatever. If this is qualifying, like, why I don't
yeah.
even. I feel bad asking you this because it's like, what a stupid question. Like, this is likely. It's televote only as well. Of course, this is qualifying to the final, and who knows how this will do. If you had to put like safe money on where this was coming, where would you go? Top 3 winner, top 5, top 10?
I absolutely have no idea. I have no idea what the jury would do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he won the jury in Finland, and it was international jury. So maybe they will like it.
It's safe to say, and pun definitely intended, the jury's out on the jury. But I mean, safe to say, if this doesn't get like at least top 5 with the televote, possibly higher, something's gone wrong. Something has
Yeah.
gone seriously wrong. But yeah, obviously Finland are in the second half of semi-final one. Much stronger, especially that half as well. He's in company with like Czechia, Norway, Sweden. It's going to be a tough half, but no doubts that this is qualifying. So up next, we've got a country probably our guest knows quite a bit about, in Poland. And the end-up winner for their national final on Sunday was Blanka with Solo.
Now I'm better solo, solo. I never let me down, diddy down, down, down. Now I'm gonna show you what it is you're missing out.
So Blanka is from Szczecin, Poland. This song actually already has 11 million views, or over 11 million views on YouTube. It was released a couple months ago. Big hit in Poland. She's already performed this a couple times, and obviously, a lot of stuff has come out of the Poland national final. But before we get onto that, I want to do this review in 2 parts. Let's talk about the song in isolation by itself first. So, Dorota, what do you think about Solo?
I think it's okay. Just this kind of summer bop with a pretty singer that would like look just good on stage. I think that's what we can get from this song. It's nothing like revolutionary, but it's something different from Poland for sure, because it's not like something we sent before. I don't think we had a song like that. So it's something different, and yeah, it's a radio hit, so it's a song that people recognize. And it's kind of like with Daria last year, who participated with Paranoia in the selections, that we have this performer who is just starting their career and has a radio hit and happens to be in the selection. And I think it's okay. I think it's a qualifier, but yeah, it's. I'm not sure about the song from this standpoint. Let's say that I've heard it so many times that I'm kind of not sure if I like it because I like it, or I like it because I heard it so much in the radio.
You've got used to it, yeah, or like
Yeah, I
just
really
something like
I got used to it, and at first I think when I first listened to it and like it appears like there's a chance that she might be in the selection, I listened to it and I thought just it's okay. It would be okay at Eurovision. It's something that we never sang before, and something that that would, I think, represent us quite well. But yeah, was hoping, let's say, for something more.
which I'm sure we'll get onto. From my perspective, looking at the song alone, it's one of those where it's like one of my friends who does a podcast as well, Connor, on the Eurovision podcast. He was on the show actually a couple of weeks ago. He described it well on their latest episode, where they said it's a fan contest song, and I kind of agree. It's that kind of song where like a teenage Eurovision fan would see Girl Bop as like, oh, this might do well. In terms of the actual contest, I don't know how it would do. It feels very vanilla. It's
Yeah.
the theme is nothing that we haven't heard before. It feels like we've heard it 1,000 times, not necessarily in Eurovision, but in like radio pop. It's a good pop song. It is well produced. Blanca's got decent charisma on stage. Nothing that will wow you, but it doesn't hurt the song either. I don't know. It's not for me. Definitely not for me personally. I'm not sure how it would do at Eurovision. We'll probably get on to like qualification chances and like how it would potentially do in that front. But I want to go on to everything else that has been swarming Eurovision Twitter in the last couple days. And I do feel for you, Dorota, because obviously as someone from
Yeah.
Poland, you are probably swarmed by it even more than someone from the outside. But there was a controversy with the fact that the second place Jan and the jury members and the changing of system. So for people that don't know, do you want to elaborate on like the system that Poland used to select their act and why people potentially have issues with like the jury members and or everything linking
Yeah.
together essentially?
So a few days before the final, TVP decided that they wanted to change the voting format because last year we had the points based basically on percentage of votes from both juries and the televote. And they changed it to, let's say, Eurovision pointing system. So 12 points, 10 points, 8 points. So it kind of changed the dynamics of the whole voting because it stripped the televoting from its power, basically, because they were kind of maybe scared that someone that they didn't want to win would actually win because they got so much support. And and in case of a tie, the jury winner would win in general. So
Yeah.
they basically had all the power at this point. So they made sure that the let's say that the televote winner didn't win.
Was going to
Basically,
struggle regardless. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
For those obviously that are completely out of the loop, in that case, sorry for bringing you back into it all. Jan was the
yeah.
second place overall. It won the televote, and I believe reports are that it won by like over double what anyone else.
12,000, which is 3 times. Which is like it's not confirmed because TVP didn't release the information, but
Yeah.
media are writing that he had I think 18,000 votes and Blanca had 6,000. So
Yeah.
that are reports. So if the percentages would like play part in the voting, it would be basically like carry a result.
Yeah,
Like it would be
absolutely.
3 times the amount that Blanca had. And the other controversy is that jury, basically the choreographer Agustin Agurola, was working a lot with Blanca, and I think, but it's alleged, let's say, because I'm not sure.
Everything with this
Everything
controversy is alleged.
right
We
now.
should actually point that
Yeah.
out now. Yeah.
Yeah. So the rumors are that he also at some he worked with her a lot on the choreography, and maybe he even worked on this performance in the national final. And the other one is that Edyta Górniak, basically her son, was sitting next to Blanca during the show on a couch in the green room. So that was also weird.
Yeah.
From the point that she was the like the like the main jury, let's say, in this competition. So I feel like with every hour, maybe not now, but on uh, on Sunday and then on Monday, every hour something new came out.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a nightmare, and I actually kind of wanted to separate myself from it because it was actually overwhelming, and I'm just a fan. And imagine what the participants at Blanca feels right now when you as a fan are overwhelmed by all the media and all the reports that are happening, and you have this participant who is getting a lot of hate, a lot of bad comments, and like it's mostly that people are angry at TVP, not her, but she gets all the hate because it's easier to give that hate to someone, like to have this face that represents the situation. So you actually want to release that anger and that stress that should be directed in some other direction, but you just in the end send it to a person who doesn't deserve it. And it's a really hard situation because you can tell that Jan was totally okay with that. He was like, yeah, I'm happy for Blanca, she was great, I like that song. And they were hugging on the stage after the show, and yeah, they were talking and just being friendly, and everything around was blowing up. But yeah,
No,
that's quite a
absolutely.
hard situation, and hopefully it will resolve. But I think that people thinking that Jan would go to Eurovision and they will disqualify Blanca, it's not good, because I don't
No,
think
not
that he
happening.
would. I mean, if he is friendly with her and he is nice to her and saying nice things about her, I don't think that he would like
He
he
wouldn't
would
want to. He
never.
wouldn't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, he would never decide that, yeah, she was stripped of the chance and now I'm going to Eurovision. I don't think he would agree, especially as he's a really nice person and very humble artist, and someone who just appreciates everyone around him. But people are also noticing that kind of a message of his song, that uh, like all the people in the industry entering industry are being like this puppets kind of the whole situation, and we have this situation right now. So it's like his
Poetic,
song
isn't it?
is actually describing the situation that is happening right now. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
absolutely.
acting like you know everyone personally, and
Yeah,
and
I think from my perspective, thank you for that, because that was very insightful. I think for a lot of people on the situation and how a Polish perspective about the situation is. I'll say my piece on it, which isn't nearly as long or as impactful. Maybe I would say that look, everything is alleged at this point, so I don't want to jump to
yeah,
conclusions about whether it was rigged or it was tailored to Blanca. But there were a couple things which I
yeah,
didn't like about the situation. I don't think people are talking about them, but not nearly as much. The first one is I don't like the fact that they took so long to release the televote points. I think that if you want to make in the hypothetical world that it's not there was nothing wrong with the system, why take so long to reveal the televotes? My theory is that if there was nothing wrong, they were scared about the Yan comments, which, in my opinion, is quite cowardly from the broadcaster. If that's the case, but it just makes the broadcaster look worse, taking so long to reveal them.
yeah,
At the end of the day, if you look at the points in isolation, nothing's wrong about it. Blanca won fair and square. She came second in the televote, and the system suited it. But that's just the way it is. And then the other one I want to talk about is the comments from the head juror about why they didn't vote for Jan or why they didn't like Jan. Is because that the song was demonic and that everyone. I might be paraphrasing here, so I apologize, but I read that the song was quite demonic and they didn't like it, and everyone should be a fan of should love God and Jesus Christ. Now, look, I'm not here to be the bearer of religion or anything like that, what you should follow, what anything like that, or to comment on the issues in Poland about potential perspectives on various types of masculinity, feminism, all that stuff. I'm not here to comment on that. But what I will say is this: keep your religious beliefs out of your critiques of the song. I think that's disgraceful that she has factored that into her point system, and it should never happen. That's why people, and the whole relationship stuff, that's why people have international juries at the end of the day. It's all very, regardless of whether anything is actually happening or not, it's all very iffy for Polish delegation. That between this and the situation last year with cahooting with 5 other jury countries for semi-final 2 votes, it sucks. It really does, because from my perspective, whenever I hear stories like this, I'm just like, especially after the Ukraine war, why is this still going on? Why is there so much drama? And it's it seems so irrelevant. Just send the best acts that you think. If you wanted to send Blanca, just go internal. All right, don't do a national final then. But what I will say with Blanca is, and I said this on the Eurovoxx podcast I did with Jana and Clara, I wish Polish fans get behind Blanca as much as they possibly can. You don't have to like the song. You can critique it. You can do all that stuff. But please don't send hate towards her, death threats, whatever people say. I'm not saying people have sent death threats, but just saying what people do send.
At least stay
try your
neutral to the whole situation.
Be neutral. Support her as much as you can. You sort of touched on whether you think this will qualify, so I'll just sort of say now, it's in semi-final 2. This has a shot because of the diaspora. Poland usually do well with televote only. In televote alone, they usually qualify a lot. If you look at the numbers, UK voting in this really helps, and Lithuania, I think, as well help. Ukraine, absolutely. This has a shot in semi-final 2. I'm not confident on it, but it's borderline. It's borderline for me, and I think that's a nice way to wrap up the Poland segment of this. So now we move on to our first internally selected song of this batch, actually the second internal song that was released, and we go to Viva la France! And of course they are being represented this year by Lazara, and she released her song Évidemment. So Lazara is from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, actually, but she is based in France. She is actually the second Canadian artist to represent France at the Eurovision Song Contest, the first one being in 2001 with Natasha St. Pierre. That is such a Canadian French name. So Canadian. Of course, it makes sense. So this is the, I believe, fourth automatic qualifier we have revealed this year, or the others being not Germany. I literally said one of the ones that I literally said one of the ones which it isn't. I might as well have said UK. No, Italy, Spain, and Ukraine are the other ones. My apologies. Yeah. So, Dorota, what do you think of Évidemment? Because this has got a little bit of buzz online.
I think it's an interesting song. You can kind of see 2 parts of that song. First one is more slow and it's very French. It's something, when you think of music in France, that's what you think. And then you have this kind of disco part when it's all glamorous, and in the video put on Eurovision Song Contest YouTube, it's this glamorous lights, and it's kind of already a good staging that I hope they would bring to Eurovision.
Yeah.
And I think the song is interesting, but for me it kind of lacks a progression. You have this first part and this second part where she sings Évidemment and some verses in French, but since I don't speak French, I don't really know. I just remember the part, which is like it's kind of good because you remember the évidemment, it stays in your head. But I think it just lacks the progression. It lacks something new, and it's becomes kind of boring.
Yeah.
Unless you like the song, it's just stuck in your head and you can listen to it all the time because it kind of like becomes a loop when you
That's
listen to
completely
it
fair.
a lot.
First of all, I will say, for those that have followed Eurovoxx in the last couple of days, Andy is a massive fan of this. So for Dorota critiquing this will be her last video that she appears on, or podcast, whatever. No, I'm kidding, of course.
I
But
still love Malta. I still love Malta, by the way. So Andy,
being in his good graces.
hopefully you like me.
Yeah, he's a massive fan of Malta as well, Andy. For my opinions on this song, it's French styling, very chic bop with a little bit of modern, like universal sound. It's very, for anyone that watches San Remo, very Elodie, I would say. A lot of people want Elodie to go to its. To Eurovision, I should say, for Italy. This is probably as equivalent as we're going to get. I would say that I'm similar to you. The verses are I really like the verses. They build quite nicely. The instrumental throughout the song is très bien. Like it's absolutely I love it. Really do. I could listen to an instrumental version. I really could of this song. However, the chorus, it does leave me feeling a bit cold at times. I don't know whether that's just because it's studio. I feel like the like punches in the chorus, like on the beat, they might sound a lot more impactful live. We'll only know when she first performs this, whether it's at a pre-party or at Eurovision itself. But I'm on the fence about this one. I think it's a quality entry. First of all, quality. France are not going to come low down with this, in my opinion. But I think it could be a little bit more. There could be a tad more, but overall, it's a nice package. A lot of Eurovision fans will love this. Like they already do. Like this for some, this is exactly that sound. So France, good quality. Despite their result last year, I love their song last year. I think they're really on a good track. They really are. So I touched upon how I think roughly this will do. I reckon this is contending for the left-hand side of the scoreboard. What do you think?
I would say like the middle.
Yeah.
I think it would be near the like 12th to 15th place.
Yeah, that's completely
it will
fair.
end up like that.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'd say around there could challenge for top 10. I reckon this could get top 10 jury. This is I reckon that is definitely realistic for this. But of course, obviously,
honestly, I think it would do better in the televote.
Maybe it's one of those where it could go either way. I reckon it could go either way. But obviously, we say which semi-final every song is in. France is already in the final, so we don't need to go into that for them. And now it's time for...
Okay, we gotta go.
30 seconds. And now it's time for another edition of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds, as always inspired by our golden boy from 2015. So, for those who haven't seen the show, and for Dorota, I have a list of 43 countries that have all taken part fairly recently. They're basically the list of countries from 2018. Dorota, you will have to pick a number, as they've all been assigned one at random, and then you will have 30 seconds to name that country's entries in reverse chronological order. You can either give me the song title, or you can sing a famous part of the song, in case it's like a language you don't necessarily know, for example, or a hard title to remember. You will get 2 lifelines. The first one is country restart. If at any point you're struggling with the one you have, you can immediately say another number and we will go from there. The second one is the year check. If at any point you are struggling to remember what year you are on, you can ask me and I will tell you. You can only use these lifelines once each. If you run out of entries, so for example, the example I always give is if you pick Australia and you get through all of theirs fairly quickly, you can immediately say another number and go from there. This does not count as your country restart. The other 2 rules that you need to know are 2020 entries do count. And as of fairly recently, I've said if a country has announced their 2023 entry, you've got to start with that one. Otherwise, go from their most recent one, which will likely be 2022. Dorota, how are you feeling about this game?
So I'm actually terrible with dates. My mind just went blank. And I'm bad at remembering stuff. So it will be the ride. Let's say.
It'll be the ride. It'll be. Yeah, it's always a ride. Always love this part of the go. Let's quickly look at the leaderboard to see what you are up against. So 6 people have taken part so far. In joint last with 1, and both have used a lifeline, it is Sarah and Louise from Eurovision. In 4th with 1, but they didn't use a lifeline, so the bottom 3 currently all scored 1, is Jess. And then in 3rd place with 3, it's Twan. 2nd place with 4, it's Connor from Eurovision. And in 1st place with 11, a carrier-like lead over everyone else, I will say, is Stuart. So, without further ado, actually, before we get on to that, your time will start when I tell you the country, and your time will end when you hear the following.
Okay, hit the end.
So, Dorota, can you pick a number between 1 and 43?
For some reason, I have a number 37 in my mind.
37. Okay, let's go to 37. So, Dorota 37, you will have 30 seconds to name me the entries from Czech Republic. Go.
Oh God! So we have Vesna, My Sister's Crown. 2021 was. Oh God, my mind went blank. Tommy, Lights Off. Then we had 21, which was Oh My God. Then there was Kaimama. Then there was 2020. 2019. Joseph.
I thought you were going to get it.
No, was it actually because I was Joseph, or was he 2018?
It was Lake Malawi you were looking for. Friend of a Friend was 2019.
Yeah, it was. And then there was Mikolas Joseph. Then there was 2017. I'm bad with like.
You said you were bad with dates. You said the Vesna entry, then went 2021. I'm like, no, it's 2022, Dorota. 2022. I thought you were going to. I was worried because I was like, oh no, don't just get one again, please.
No, but I had the good entry in my mind. Like I forgot about them because I don't really like their song. I mean, they are cute, they are adorable. Like We Are Dumb, We Are Great, but I don't like their song.
That is so blasphemy to be fair. I quite like that one. But no, that's fair enough. Great effort, to be fair, Dorota. You actually did really well. You scored 4 points, which is actually put you now in joint 2nd place. So genuinely, well done. That's one of our competitors.
Yeah, I was hoping for a country like Italy that would like just send me like I was like, yeah, I can get at 13 points with Italy because I just know everything.
It's
but
always...
probably, with all the stress, I would probably get like 5.
Yeah, it's always the luck of the draw with this. What country you get? To be fair, Sarah last week said she wanted Italy. Italy will come up at some point, I'm sure of it. And knowing his luck, it might be like if Sam Welle's ever on the show or something, he'll get Italy and just be like, stop me now. He'll get like 30 or something.
Get like Balkan countries with most of the songs in like their native language.
Oh, I can't wait for the first one of those. So let's look at the leaderboard now after 7 people. So in joint last place, Louise and Sarah with 1 and a lifeline used. In 5th place with 1, it is Jess. In 4th place with 3, it is Twan. In joint 2nd with 4, it is Connor from Eurovision and Dorota. And in 1st place, still maintaining a massive lead over everyone else with 11, it is Stuart. And that concludes another episode of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds. So now let's move on to the second half of the acts that were revealed in the last couple of weeks. And fun fact, at the end of every episode, I always like to say what we're going to cover in the next one. And I said the 5 of the countries that we're covering today. But one country I didn't say, because they literally announced they were revealing it the day before they revealed their song, is Australia. Yeah, the land down under surprised us all with their reveal, I believe, last Tuesday. And it's a familiar face to Eurovision fans actually taking part, as it is Voyager with their song Promise.
Promise me it's gonna be alright. Promise me it's gonna be alright.
So Voyager originate from Perth, Australia, and many fans will know they took part in Australia Decides last year, coming in 2nd place with their song Dreamer and winning the televote as well. So fan favorite among Australia. In some ways, I doubt they were this lazy, but do you reckon? I reckon Australia, in some aspect, went right. We need an artist. Who will they like? Oh, just, who came second last year? All right, them. There we go. It's just various other artists like Electric Fields and who was it? Casey, someone like that. Basically, people that came second in Australia size 4 were like, damn it, why couldn't they do that system earlier? But let's get on to the song. It's a very hard rock song, as you can imagine, with Voyager. Very similar to their national final entry, actually. Dorota, what do you think about Promise?
It's actually kind of playing in my head right now, and it's that thing that I find it really catchy, and I think that people are underrating it. I think it's a great song. They have great energy on stage, which we could see in Australia Decides, and yeah, I think it's like very, very good, and I think they will rock the stage, and they will actually qualify, and it won't be actually a problem. And I feel like some people are comparing them to Bulgaria with Intelligent Music
Are
Project,
they?
which for me,
That's
yeah,
incredibly
because
harsh.
so some people say like old, let's say old rock band, because I mean they have experience. They started in the 90s,
Yeah.
so but it's totally different kind of music. It's very like interesting. They are solid live. It's not something random, and it's kind of uplifting, and with the message and the lyrics. So I think it will do well, and people are underrating it a lot. And yeah, I have my fingers crossed for them.
I do too. I mean, for those that don't know, I am half Australian actually, so I do have a stake in this one a little bit. Um, but I mean, people comparing it to Intelligent Music Project, there's a difference between an old band sending old style and then an old band
Yeah,
sending modern current style. Like, come on, please. Like, to be fair, when you say people are underrating this, I think it's just a case of, and it is an annoying fact, some Eurovision fans just don't like rock, which is very annoying for me as someone that absolutely loves rock and wants a lot of it at Eurovision. Yeah, I love this. To be fair, I really do. I think I prefer Dreamer. I do prefer Dreamer, but this has a lot of good stuff. Very impactful. Love the guitar solo at the end. That's a moment, and it
yeah,
crescendos very nicely, actually. And you know what? This is one. This is a stage song. This is a stage entry. This will
yeah,
come alive completely on the stage. They were just announced actually the day of recording for London Eurovision Party. Can't wait to see them live there. And you know what's great? Voyager, at least the lead singer, definitely wanted to go for Eurovision for so long. It's great to see them get to finally go to Eurovision. And yeah, I can't wait to this. For me, similar to you, Australia. I don't think they'll have issues qualifying. I know some people haven't got this as high. This is made for the stage. Liverpool are going to
yeah,
love this. The televote's going to love this. There is obviously always an issue potentially with Australia and televote, but the years, to be fair, apart from 2017, I'm fairly certain the years that they qualify for the final, they still would have got through with the televote. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about that too much. Maybe I'm slightly wrong on that. But you'd have to correct me, but I think it's only 2017 they wouldn't have qualified. For me, Australia, I think have a good song here. Is it going to win? Probably not. But how do you it? Because we're both of the opinion this is going to qualify for the final. How do you see this
yeah.
getting on when it gets to the final? Where do you see this roughly?
I think it depends, because like the only problem with this song is that this year kind of became a battle of the bands at this point.
Yes,
There are a
the year
lot
of
of
the
bands
bands.
compared to like previous years, because yeah, it might not help them, let's say, if
Yeah,
all the bands qualify. And I think they will be like around 20th place. Like
20th.
they won't be high in the final.
No, that's completely fair. I will say, for people complaining, oh, it's another boy band, there is a female member in this one, so you can't say it's another boy band, Eurofans.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care the terminology. You can't say this isn't a boy band. I do. I do agree though. There are other bands. There's other bands actually in the semi-final. It's Slovenia
yeah,
and San Marino, both in this. We'll get on to San Marino a bit later. But I don't. I honestly, based on the song quality, I don't know actually how many of the boy bands are gonna qualify for the final. So I reckon this will stand out a bit. I agree that this is not necessarily a top 10 potentially. I would lean more to top 15. I think it could challenge for that. Sheldon Riley, I believe, got around that mark, around 15th, 16th. Voyager could do something very similar with good, impactful staging, and especially good crowd reaction. I want even if you don't like the song, the crowd reaction, I think, will be very good. It will be also one thing I must say for the end. They have to have a guitar with fire spurting out of the top of it. That is my
Oh.
request. They have to have that. All right. I don't care if it's out of budget. They need to have it because it works perfectly. It will create a moment. And yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on Australia. And also, it'd be nice for one of my other countries other than the UK to get through to the final. I do have slight hope for Malta, but let's not talk about that. So, of course, Australia is in the second half of semi-final 2, along with many other songs. I know I went through some of the songs last time we did the podcast. There's now quite a few, so I'm not going to go through all of them. But yeah, Australia, second half, semi-final 2. So let's move on to Lithuania now. Baltic country, lovely stuff. And they completed their national final on Saturday this week. And their winner was Monika Linkite with the song Stay. So Monika is from Gardzai, Lithuania. I apologize if I pronounced any of that wrong. I am British after all. And many will know Monika from taking part for Lithuania at Eurovision in 2015 in a duet with the song This Time, finishing in a respectable 18th place. So nice qualification for her. Always good to see returning Eurovision artists as well. So, Dorata, what do you think of this entry?
It's a very different song from her previous effort. I think it's okay. It's very chill. I think that how I would describe it. It's like this chill song that you would put on your headphones and just sit and maybe just swing a bit left and right, and it's a warm song in its feeling. It feels very warm, and I think that people might connect with it, with this style and this feeling of this warm feeling that the song gives. And I think that the choir she has with her gives this interesting flavor to the song, that if she sang it by herself, that it would be less interesting, let's say, because it gives dimension, it gives depth to the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like that she puts her native language in it.
Yeah, it's nice to have Lithuania, especially after last year with Sentimente. Always good to have various different languages in Eurovision. I should correct myself. I said initially that this was this Saturday. It's actually it was last Saturday that this was revealed. It's been a couple of weeks since we did an episode. My apologies. But onto the song itself. This actually... It's a slightly controversial win from the aspect of it won through jury tiebreak, which... I mean, between this and Poland, never a system I like. I think it's absolutely stupid. Because, especially in now a semi-final where it's going to be televote only, I'm just regardless of what you think of the song that would have won if it was a televote tiebreak, which would have been Ruta Moore with So Low, I just think overall that's give the public more of a say, is my sort of thoughts on that. But that's neither here nor there now. We've got Stay as the entry. I prefer this to This Time, but then again, I hated that song in 2015. I thought it was far too cheesy.
And I loved it.
Yeah, that's the way Eurovision works, of course. But I'm not necessarily a massive fan on this. The problem I have with this is there's 21 songs at the moment. This is one of the ones I constantly forget, and that's a bad thing. Because it's nice. It's a nice song. There's nothing inherently bad about it. I like, again, what you said about the backing singers. They had a John Lundvik Mama's impact, I would say, where it's really elevates along. Nice togetherness with it. I don't think you could change that much about the staging for Liverpool itself. I think they've got a nice package there. If they added anything else in, I would say it probably ruin it for the fans it has. However, in my perspective, it's a nice song. It's a nice song, but does nice get you that far in Eurovision? Sometimes it does, but at the same time, it doesn't push you to the next level, which I think Lithuania were ready to do after two good results. They were top half in the final in both the last 2 years. So I'm not sure. I like the Lithuanian in, because initially it was just my heart is beating. My heart is beating over and over again. I'm like, okay, every heart does. What else does your heart do? You know what I mean? It was like, come on, we need something else here. And I'm a bit like that with the chorus. It's like, it does get repetitive at points, but it is better with the Lithuanian, I think. So yeah, I'm not sure. How do you see this qualifying for the final potentially?
I think like this semi-final can have anyone qualifying. Honestly, it's like it will be interesting because it might qualify. I think it might qualify. Honestly,
Yeah,
like it is a nice song. It's different. I don't know. It like just like you said that it might be too forgettable, but it depends where it would be put in the running order.
yeah, absolutely.
So it all depends on that. I think it might qualify, but it's not sure for me that
It's
she will
borderline.
actually
Yeah,
qualify.
I'd agree there. I'd agree. It does have some nice diaspora. UK's voting in this semi-final, for example, and Lithuania always do well with the televote. They're similar to Poland in the sense that they always would sneak in, even in years they wouldn't qualify. They would have got in top 10 with televote, so that's going to help them. I think that will just about see them into the final, especially in this semi-final where most of the songs have a shot. I wouldn't say every song has a shot at qualifying. And spoiler for the last one we're going to talk about, I suppose. But uh, I think this will have enough of a universal package because bear in mind it's a very universal song. It's a very universal style, and it will connect with a good diaspora, whether it's East or West Europe or Australia. Actually, is also voting in this semi-final. So I think this will do just enough. I don't see it doing that well in the final. I think top 20 would be a good result for this if it got that, but potentially you could get slightly lower. So yeah, that's how I see Lithuania doing. It's a respectable entry, but it's nothing that you can write home about, I'd say. As we discussed, Lithuania is in semi-final 2. They're actually going to be performing in the second half of that, so that could give them a good running order as well. So now we move on to the final song we'll be talking about this week, and it is from the tiny San Marino, the smallest country in Eurovision. They completed their 108 song national final on Saturday. Don't worry, not all 108 songs were performing on Saturday. That otherwise the show would still be going, I think, at this rate. And we got a winner in the end, and it is from PK Jax, with the song "Like an Animal." So, Pika Jacks are originally from Bonigno, Italy, the band, and I found this quite funny. The band members are called E. King, Marek O, Little Laddle, and Holly Hargot. Great names. Great names. Also, it's nice that it is nice as much as you could have people from any country in the world. It was nice the eventual winner was actually from Italy. I think that's good for San Marino. So, this ended up being the winner. Dorota, what do you think about Like an Animal?
I think it's a solid song. I really think it's a solid song, and it kind of reminds me of like British rock bands, maybe like some flavor of The Editors and Franz Ferdinand, but just stripped back and with their own character, let's say. Like I feel like no one before knew that band, and it's a great opportunity for them to just show themselves to Europe and maybe gain new fans and just present their music to everyone. Yeah, that's like basically everything I have to say about the song. It's not really that catchy, but I enjoy just listening to it and watching the performance because I think the singer is like charismatic after all, and he has a really good voice. Like he has some like high notes that not everyone can get, and yeah, I think I like it, but it's like not something that I would put in my top 10.
Yeah. First of all, another boy band. Everyone's going to love that, because everyone's loving how many boy bands there are this year, really. Like, they need
Battle
to
of the
stop.
Bands.
Battle of the Bands. Eurovision spin-off show, Battle of the Bands, yeah? We need to get... I'm amazed we haven't had the Great Eurovision Band Contest or something like that. But anyway, with this song, I feel bad saying this, but the most interesting thing I've got about this entry is the names of the singers. Like, I do not, like, I don't hate this song. Actually, you know what? If in studio, once this eventually gets released on Spotify, I won't skip this because I don't think it's that bad. I think it is a solid entry, but man, I miss the days when San Marino were fun. Like, like now it's like, in the past, San Marino would send the likes of Serhat, Senate, and they wouldn't necessarily be the greatest entries in the world, apart from Adrenaline. That was a great song. But like, they'd be fun. You'd have some fun with like Freaky or Say Na Na Na. or just like something like that. Now the risk you have with doing a proper national final with proper songs is, I get the idea, like you want to send something actually professional and like take this as seriously as you can. The problem is you're getting all these artists from various other countries. If they were that good enough, they would just go for their actual country, unless you get someone from like America, I suppose. But like anyone actually that takes part in this is just not good enough for their own country, sadly, and that's the reality. And obviously San Marino can't attract the best. It is San Marino, but like now they're sending entries that overall people aren't liking, but they're now, it's not even like in a guilty pleasure fun way, and that's the sad thing. Like we, again, I like this entry. I don't think it's, well, maybe likes a stretch, but I don't mind this entry. It ain't that bad. It's not the sound though that Eurovision fans will like. It's similar to a lot of bands this year. It's a fine song. If this had juries, I think they maybe like it, but it's a televote only system in the semi-finals. San Marino always struggle with the televote, even with Adrenalina. Only got like 9th with them or something, maybe even less. It was around then, so it's just like, look, yeah, I'm indifferent to this. When this won and people were not liking it, I was just a bit like, and this is harsh. Oh, it's San Marino. Who cares? Like, I feel bad. Like, yeah. So obviously we're going to go on to now whether this will qualify. This, I'm going to be blunt. This is, I think this got 0 chance of qualifying. Sorry. Like, what do you think this has any hope?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think it will win. It's not the system that favors small countries, and like San Marino is the smallest of them.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel bad saying that, but I'm in a blunt way. Like, even if it's not even like they've got a song that if like Greece sent it, they'd qualify easily. It's a song that I don't think would. It just doesn't suit Eurovision fans. Like, and that's a shame. I suppose the only blessing is it is in the second semi-final, which is the weaker one, to put it lightly, and it is in the second half. So who knows? Maybe that will help, but I'm not holding my breath for San Marino, sadly.
And now it's time for Unpopular Opinion.
So now we move on to Unpopular Opinion, the segment in the show where our guests get to say whatever the hell they want, really, about Eurovision, despite its connotations and its links maybe negatively received between fans or just whoever. It's an unpopular opinion. You know what an unpopular opinion is at this stage. So, Dorota, please explain, what is your Eurovision unpopular opinion?
So I was thinking of few ones, but the one I kind of chose is that Oniromo, which is Greece 2018, was incredible. Like the performance, I loved the performance, and people were hating on it. They didn't like it. They didn't think it was interesting, and they didn't like the blue hand. But I thought it was like incredible, and I loved it, and it gave me goosebumps, and it's like my favorite. Like, it's the only song that gave me goosebumps live at that Eurovision, and it's my favorite performance from that year.
I've got to love how much you've referenced various non-qualified acts as like some of your favorite stuff. It's great. Like, I love the variety we can have with Eurovision fans.
Yeah.
Greece, to be fair, amongst the fandom is one of those where I think it was liked in studio. It was one of like fan favorites, I'm pretty sure, in studio or something like that. And then just live, it was in a ridiculously tough semi-final. Greece, like,
Yeah.
incredible. I've in semi-final 2 that probably does a lot better, even though it like would become like 16th or something like that in the semi-final. 15th.
I honestly have no idea.
No idea.
I don't want to just.
Yeah, we're not going to look it up. It was around there. Someone feel free to tell us if you know. But I don't mind this one. It's probably not it's not my style. Not for me, a bit forgettable, but I completely understand the appeal. It's the most like, if you're looking for like a Greek ballad, actually like something that has ethnic connotations, like this is it. And I will say, Greece is a country that has a great qualification record. They've sent a lot worse and qualified. Like the year before, if you remember, with "This Is Love," hate that, absolutely terrible. And yeah, that got through.
Her vocals were bad at the night.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, I mean that year Isaiah got through, so vocals were not clearly a factor in qualifying in 2017. That's a bit harsh. I do actually like Australia's song that year, but yeah, that's a good unpopular opinion. Is that where does that rank in your like Greek entries all time? Is it one of your highest, or?
I think it's my favorite Greek entry,
of
all time.
Yeah.
I really love that song. I think like I hate how people don't appreciate this performance. Like when the smoke goes up and she puts her hand up and the smoke goes with her hand in the same like wave, in
Yeah.
the same rhythm. It was just my mind was blown, and I was like, oh my god, it's so incredible. And then she didn't qualify, and people were like, oh, that was boring, and I didn't
Yeah.
like that, and she was bad live.
Now, there's always those like sentimental Eurovision fan favorites. I've got this with a few national final songs this year, including Cha Cha Cha, where it's like, if anyone says anything bad, you are wrong. You know, music is subjective. Apart from that, okay. So I completely understand where you're coming from, and that's what Unpopular Opinion is all about. So that concludes another episode of the Eurovoxx podcast. Dorota, thank you so much for being a fabulous guest. Absolutely love talking to you this week. And next week, we are going to be discussing a variety of songs, a few internal ones in there. We'll have to see how many we cover, but ones that will definitely be covered, including the national final winners of Germany, Iceland, Moldova, and Serbia. And I say I'm covering them. Next week might be a bit of a special episode. All I'll say is it's being released on a very special day. But you've got to find out more about that. So please stay tuned. It might be a bit different next week. But as always, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any social media we're on. I believe we're on now TikTok now as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're nearly hitting actually 20k, which is very exciting. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. Make the news website your home for all Eurovision news. And of course, in my definitely unbiased opinion, make sure you follow the Spotify podcast. And yeah, leave us a review. Actually, it really helps with expanding this. So I've been Harry, and see you later.
Bye.